So Anand, I guess you can start with the workshop now, right?
Okay, so hello and welcome everyone to our first workshop of Flutter. I am Anand and today we will be introducing you about mobile development and fundamentals of app development with Flutter. So let's first understand what actually mobile development means and what does it includes. Mobile development basically means building softwares that can run on handheld devices, mostly mobile phones, as mobile is the most used handheld device. Now knowing this, most of you might be thinking of mobile apps. Yes, you are correct. But there's a catch here. Mobile apps are just a part of mobile development. It includes a lot more. Mobile phones have a limited resource and you cannot completely rely on it to run your app. Due to this, there are two parts in mobile development, front end and back end. All you can do on mobile phone is done on front end part, which includes all the UI with which an user can interact and some basic logic which we can run on mobile phones. And those which we cannot but are needed for app to work are included in backend. Now let's see a basic overview of front end and back end and how they communicate. Firstly, front end. The most important work of front end is to provide users a friendly interface with which user can interact to fulfill user requirements. But as you already know, due to lack of resources, mobile phones can't do all the things. For example, suppose you want to solve a complex math problem that requires a lot of CPU work, right? Or you want a persistent storage that remains there even if you uninstall your app and reinstalls it on some other phone. All this work you can't locally do on your mobile phone. For this, you need a special remote computer that remains on all the time and provides all the information and do all the heavy computations that your app needs. That special computer is called server, and that is where your backend runs. Backend on your app connects with the request and response cycle as you can see in this image. App requests the backend for the information it needs, and in reply, backend sends a response with the required information by doing the computation on the server or getting the data from the database on the server. Until here, you would have gotten some basic idea of mobile development. Now, for any constructive process, we need some tools, and so does mobile development. There are many tools that can be used in mobile development, but for now, as we are focused only on front end for this lecture, so we need only one, that is an IDE. So let's take a closer look on it. Integrated Development Environment, in short IDE, is a software tool which provides different features and tools such as a beautiful customizable editor with intelligent autocode completion, compile time bug checking as you write code, along with build automation, that is you can build your application on one tap without worrying about the complex process behind it for the application. These tools help throughout the process of development of complex application. It also includes a debugger which helps in debugging of application while development. You can also install different extensions or plugins for the type of applications you are building. For our purpose, we will be using Android Studio that is specially designed for app development along with Flutter plugins. You can also use any IDE of your choice, for example, VS Code 2. This has many features which helps in development including an AVD or Android Virtual Device, which as its name suggests is a virtual Android device which completely emulates a real mobile phone and has all the features in it. You can use it to test your app then and there while development without the need to use a real device. My friend Dhruv will show you one AVD in the later part of the workshop. Now, after knowing about the tools we will be using, let's see about different types of approaches for building apps that can be used. So while developing mobile as front end, there are four approaches that can be followed, which as you can see on the slides are native mobile applications, cross-platform mobile applications, hybrid mobile applications, and progressive web applications. We will be discussing the first two in the later part of the slide, and the rest are there for you as an exercise to search about what they are. Firstly, native mobile applications. These are developed in the language and framework specified by the platform owner for their specific platform. For example, Java or Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. These have the benefit that they can use all the resources and services available on the platform directly and gives the best performance than any other framework. But it also comes with a disadvantage that for different platforms, we need to maintain different code bases for the same app. As I previously told, Like for if you wanna make an Android app, you need to use Java or Kotlin, and if you wanna make an iOS app, you have to use Swift. To overcome these difficulties, there are cross-platform mobile applications which can be developed in different languages, irrespective of the platform, along with having support from multiple platforms with same code base. This reduces much effort while developing of an app, as you can deploy your app on different platforms by developing a single code base. There are multiple frameworks for which you can build cross-platform applications, such as React Native and Flutter. Now, you would have got an idea why Flutter is used and where it fits into mobile development field. So now let's know more about one of the technologies that we use to build our apps in MDG, that is Flutter. If you haven't already heard or searched about Flutter before, you might be thinking what actually Flutter is, what it does, and what are the extra features that it provides. Now we would be answering all these one by one to have some basic understanding about Flutter. So now let's see what actually Flutter is. As you can see in the slide, Flutter is Google's cross-platform UI toolkit that it provides a set of tools to develop beautiful applications faster, which can run on many different platforms like Android, iOS, Windows, etc. with a single code base. Hence, it reduces overhead of more developers and time for launching on different platforms. Also, Flutter is completely open sourced with vast and active community and 134k stars on its GitHub repo. You might have been already familiar with what open source is if you have attended our intro talk, and if you haven't, then surely give it a Google search, as you will be hearing about it a lot in your future journey. This open source culture enables Flutter to have many third-party libraries available, which are developed by the community and makes development faster and easier. While using Flutter, we need to use Dart as a language, which is optimized for building UI. There is no need to learn Dart separately. You can learn it along with the Flutter. Don't think Dart to be an extra overhead to learn Flutter. Think it as a new language to be added to your list of learnings. Also, Dart is comparatively easy to learn. Now, what is the motivation to learn Flutter? Why should we use Flutter over the other technologies or frameworks such as native Java, Kotlin, or React Native? So here is the answer. Flutter has many features to increase productivity and make better and efficient use of resources. With Flutter, you can deploy your app on different platforms with a single code base, which saves a lot of time and money. Flutter has also a famous unique feature called hot reload, in which you can do the change in the app and can see the effect right there on the screen without the need to recompile the whole code again. My friend Dhruv will also demonstrate how does it look in practice in later part of the workshop. Also, Flutter uses only Dart for the whole app, so you do not need to confuse with different languages at once. And Flutter has many third-party packages which makes development faster and easier. And apps developed by Flutter are compiled into native machine code, due to which released apps can give performance closer to natively built apps. Due to these features, Flutter is also used in some of the apps that you might have been already using, for example, Google Pay app, Dream11, etc. Now, until here, you would have got a basic idea of what Flutter is. Now, Dhruv will tell you about some basic concepts used in Flutter. Over to Dhruv.
Yeah, Anand, can you please confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Anand, for explaining what Flutter is and how it's useful. Hello guys, I'm Dhruv Mehrotra and I'll be going over the basics of Flutter for you. Widgets. If you're gonna learn Flutter, you'll need to learn about widgets. Everything you can see on the screen of a Flutter app is a widget. UI or user interface, which is the part of the app that is visible to you, as well as the behind the scenes logic, which is how the app works of an app, are broken down into several smaller components, which in Flutter are widgets. And they are created using Dart code written in Dart language. Long story short, in Flutter, everything is a widget and widgets can do everything. Let's see what widgets can do. Showing text? Yup. You've got text widget and rich text for that. Showing buttons? Absolutely. We've got widgets for that too. Arranging other widgets in rows, columns, grids, lists? Yup. Everything can be done with widgets. Showing an entire screen of your app? Yup, that too. For example, here's the code for a text widget, which basically what it does is you can see there's a string here inside the text widget. This widget basically displays this text on the screen of your app. So like you can see how easy it is to create widgets in Flutter and how easy it is to like do what you want on the app with Flutter. I understand that you might not have got an idea with just that basic example. So here's an app developed by MDG, R Drive, and I will show you what the different widgets are in the app. First off, this rectangular portion on the top here, it's called the app bar, and it is a widget. Within the app bar, you can see there is this text R Cloud. That is also a widget, a text widget. Just below that, you can see that these rectangular portions that are elevated. These are also widgets. In particular, this is a container widget, which inside it has several other widgets. For example, this is a list view widget inside it, etc. Again, just below that, this option to choose as folder or file, it is a tab bar, which is again a widget. Just below that, the icon button widget, again, it helps you to choose whether you want to show your text in a grid or show the below items in a grid or as a list. Just below that, this set of icons, it is a grid view, and it is, as you might have guessed till now, again a widget. And just below that, this floating action button, it is again a widget. So you can see how this meme originates, widgets and widgets everywhere. Everything you see on the screen in Flutter is a widget.
Yeah, so before going forward, we'll just recap whatever we done till now. So first, we try to explain you what basic mobile development is. We talked about what is native development, what is cross-platform development, and how Flutter comes into picture. Right now, what we are going through is how to actually code in Flutter. Right, how actually you can see the screen of an app and convert it into a code. Right. Dhruv, now you can continue with your.
Thanks, Prakha, for the recap. Okay, now before we dive right into Flutter, there are a few basics for Android Studio with Flutter that you need to understand. Do note, the process will be very similar if you're using any other IDE like VS Code. We're just demonstrating with Android Studio here. Okay, coming to first off project structure. Okay, if you see towards the left here, this panel is the project structure of our app. Like I know this might look very confusing considering that there are these many directories and these many files, but most of these are auto-generated. You will only need to edit a few of the files and directories here. For example, the most important will be the library lib directory where you will write your code. For example, this is the main.dart file which I have coded, and this is the welcome widget file. Also, there is this file pubspec.yml. It basically has the dependencies that your app will require within. What I'm showing you basically is a window of Android Studio with a basic Flutter project opened that we have created just to showcase to you guys what widgets are and how we can use them. Okay, coming to hot reload. Yeah. Before that, let me show you this. This is basically AVD, or an Android virtual device. It is essentially very equivalent to a complete Android device in the sense that, okay, I can go to the home and you can see that there's a camera, there's a browser and clock and everything. So like this behaves like a device. The use of this, like it is integrated within my Android Studio here. Here, the Android SDK built for x86 is that AVD that I've selected. And like what it basically helps us in doing is I can run whatever code I write in Android Studio here on this AVD without using my actual phone. So yeah, that's it. And these are basically this is the button to run the app on the AVD. This is to stop, and these are the controls for it. Coming to imports and hot reload. Yeah. So as Anand explained, an important feature of Flutter is that it supports hot reloading. Like, just a minute. Yeah. If I close the app now, and yeah, just a second. Yeah. And now if I run the app, you can see like the build will start. And this is actually a very long process. Building the app is actually a pretty long process. And as you can see right now too, like it will take about 30 to 40 seconds. And this is a very basic app and still it's taking that much time. For a more advanced app, it can take time in like a minute or two. So that really slows down the building process. So what Flutter supports is this feature for hot reload. Like you can see now, it took about 20 to 30 seconds for the app to build. Like let's say if I wanted to change something in my app, it could be a very minor change. For example, this is a background color. Like if I just want to change this color to colors.green, for other frameworks, I'd have to like rebuild the application. But with Flutter, I can just click on hot reload, and as you can see, the changes reflected on the app right away. So like that speeds up my development process considerably, right? Okay. Now that we're done with the few basics for Flutter, let's look at actual widgets and how we're going to build them. Okay. Uh, Before that, to understand specific widgets, we need to first understand what customization is. Every app looks different, and maybe you want the text in your app to be neon green with a black background. Well, thankfully, all the standard widgets in Flutter have many parameters that can be used to change them to suit your needs exactly. For example, this here is the list of properties that you can set for the text widget in Flutter. There is a style property that will help you customize like the color of the text, the font weight, whether it is italicized or not. Then there is a text align, which helps you to align the text the way you want, and etc. etc. There is an overflow property to do what which specifies what to do when there is more text than there is space to display, etc. And then towards the right, there is the column widget, and it also has like a list of many properties that you can use to exactly customize them. But if you're unsatisfied with all the standard widgets, you can make your own custom widgets. Say you want all your buttons to be neon green with a black background. Maybe your app is for Mountain Dew. What you can do is you can make a widget and name it whatever you want. Let's say you want to rename that green colored button with a black background, my neon button. You just have to tell Flutter its name, and you have to just define it in a Flutter as a widget, and then you can use it anywhere in your app as the my neon button widget. Okay. Yeah. Just to show an example for customization, towards the left there is randomly text has been displayed without any customization, just using the standard without using any extra parameters. And towards the right, you can see what the screen looks with customization. I mean, I understand a few people would appreciate the minimalism, but you've got to agree the left one looks trash, and the right one is something that you could actually consider using in an app, right? Okay. Now let's come to specific Flutter widgets. First off is Scaffold. Scaffold is basically designed to be a top level container for a material app. Material app basically is a widget that holds all the screens of our app together and provides us access to all the widgets that we're going to use. For example, the scaffold container, and the widgets coming up that allows us access to it. Okay, so scaffold is designed to be a top level container for it, and adding a scaffold provides the app with Material's basic visual layout structure. What I mean by that is a scaffold allows us to construct the screen of the entire app. For example, this entire screen here, this entire square, all the three boxes combined is a scaffold. And within the scaffold, we have multiple parameters. For example, scaffold has an app bar parameter that helps us to display this app bar of the app. And then it has a body parameter where we can define how the entire body of the app will look like. It has a bottom navigation bar parameter that will help us define this custom bottom navigation bar. And as I previously showed you, or I can show you in my AVD right now, it also has this floating action button, which will trigger some actions if we want to with it. Okay, coming to container. Container is a convenience widget that combines common painting, positioning, and sizing widgets. It provides us with properties like padding, alignment, child, decoration, etc. Just to make it clearer to you guys, I'll just show the code for both of these things. Okay, first off is scaffold. Yeah. You can see within our app, this is the primary scaffold. And as I mentioned, within the scaffold, you have all the properties. Like there is the bottom navigation bar where you can specify the exact bottom navigation bar you want for your app. There is the app bar property, as I said, where you can specify the exact app bar you want. There is the body property where you'll define the main structure of your app. Yep, this is it. And then there is also the floating action button where you can add a floating action button that triggers some action. Okay, and to display container, yep, this is the container widget. And as you can see within the container widget, there is the property for adding padding, edgeinsets.all and 15. What this basically means is it tells Flutter that for like whatever space the container takes, leaves space of 15 units on all sides of it. It's actually useful for apps just to like separate the widgets apart. Otherwise, everything will look like there is no space in between. It will look very cluttered and stuff. And then there is the child property where you can define the exact child widget you want. As of now, I'm not explaining it, but like this basically just displays this particular widget on the screen for the container. And like you can also add other properties for the container, for example, width, height. Like what I did here, like for beginners, I'm telling you, what I did here is basically I clicked on the hints, which tells me what other properties I can add to this widget. So there's width, which I can add. There's the height I can specify. There's the color of the widget I can specify, etc. Okay. Continuing with more widgets, there is the row and column widgets. Like container, row and column widgets are also used to set the layout of your app. The difference is that while container, as I showed you, had a property called child, so it can only have one child widget. Row or column can have multiple children. That is, they can have multiple widgets within them. What this means is like immediately within the container, you're constrained to have one other widget, while with row or column, you can have multiple. Like if you look towards the left, this is the code for displaying a row or column widget. It also has those properties as I previously mentioned for customization, like cross-axis alignment, which basically like it's set here to cross-axis alignment dot start. So what this basically means is your text, like whatever widget you are displaying, it should start from the left of the screen. And then there is main axis size, etc. But this is the important part. This is the children property, which includes a list of widgets. As you might know, a square bracket indicates list, and this towards the left, that widget within the symbols is the type annotation. It basically says that the things within this list are of type widget. So the widgets within it are all text widgets. The text widget, I will reiterate for you guys, will basically just be used to display this string on the screen. So row will display all its children in a horizontal list or a horizontal array, while column will display its children in a vertical array. So here we have a column widget, and since column will display all its children in a vertical array, you would expect all these text lines to be displayed one below the other. And if you run the app for this, like run your app with this widget inside it, this is what you'll see, which is exactly what we expected, right? The widgets are aligned in a vertical array.
Dhruv, can you re-explain scaffold and differences with container?
Differences of scaffold with container.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Scaffold basically is the top level widget that there's going to be. It is the widget that will define your screen of the app. As I said, it is like designed to be a top level container for your material app. Scaffold will include all these properties. Like it will basically define the entire structure of your page. While for a container, it will basically like as the name itself indicates, a container is just a container. So like you can store some widgets with you can store a widget between it. To make you understand about the hierarchy, a scaffold can have containers within it, but a container will not have a scaffold within it, because a scaffold is the widget that it is the top level widget. If I were to demonstrate with the example that we took earlier, just this is the scaffold of our app. This is the top level container. Okay. And within this top level container, we've defined all the properties. And as you can see, within the body property of this top level container, there is a container widget, right? Like I understand, now I understand where the issue might have been. Scaffold is going to be the top level widget, and a scaffold can have a container within it as a lower level widget. Okay. I hope that clarifies the doubt.
Yes, Dhruv, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, since row and column were done, we'll move on to other widgets. For example, the bottom navigation bar. It's a material widget that's displayed at the bottom of the screen of an app for selecting among a number of views. To go by example, yep. As I said, the scaffold has the property to specify a bottom navigation bar, and this bottom navigation bar widget will specify the exact bottom navigation bar that you want in your app. Uh, if I were to show it in my app, this here is the bottom navigation bar. Within the bottom navigation bar, as you can see, I've specified the things for customizing it, like the background color, which is set to colors.white, the unselected item color, which is set to gray. It's basically this color. Like if this item is not selected, the item will appear gray. There is the selected item color, which is set to pink, so you can see this is pink. If I were to change it, like let's say I want my background to be green for this, and I can hot reload it and it will change accordingly. Okay. Other than that, the bottom navigation bar will also have a list of items, which will be a list of the type bottom navigation bar item, and each of the sub properties will be a bottom navigation bar item widget. Okay, I like hope you understand the hierarchy here. And within each bottom navigation bar item, you can see there are three of these items, right? And each of these items will define one of these. Like this is the first bottom navigation bar item, this is the second bottom navigation bar item, and this is the third. As you can see, there was a current index here. This is of index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, and so on. Okay, like these bottom navigation bar items will define how my specific item will look like. So here you can see the icon for it is set to icons.home field, which is this icon here, this home icon. And sure enough, the first icon in my list has that home icon with the label feed, and the text here is displayed again. If I were to change it to first page, that will be changed to first page, obviously. Okay, just to showcase that this here is the item, this here is the same item that I'm showing here. Okay, so like the other items can be explained similarly, and that's your bottom navigation bar. Okay. Coming to the image widget, it's a very basic widget and it's used to insert an image on the screen. There are multiple ways actually, but to insert the image, you could use image.network and with a string inside it. What this basically does is the string would be a URL to an image on the internet, and calling image.network as a widget will basically display that particular image on your screen. Or you could use image.asset. Basically, this will be an image that is contained within your app, like that you've stored somewhere within your app, and you can call that image as image.asset. Yeah, that's it. If I were to show an example, okay, so we have used image.network and have specified the URL for URL for the image, and within my app too. Yeah, this Flutter image is the image that has been specified here. Okay, like that, this URL is for this particular image, not the text below it, is this particular image. Okay. Coming to snack bar. Snack bar is used to display a snack bar on the screen. I can't explain it in any other way, but I can show you an example for it. For example, if you look in this GIF, any of these buttons is clicked, it is set to show snack bar, and it displays this particular widget, which is present on the screen for 2 to 3 seconds. Like you might have seen the snack bar in many of the apps. For example, if you delete something, a snack bar might be displayed and for a few seconds after deleting, and it might have the option to undo it. If I were to show a similar example in my app, okay, so here is the snack bar widget. This snack bar widget has a property for content, which is basically set here to a text widget, and the text is set to counter incremented once. So whenever the snack bar is displayed, it should display a text called counter incremented once, and it also has an action property that helps us to specify what action should be displayed with the snack bar. And this is the snack bar. It shows the text counter incremented once along with the action. So the action is set to a snack bar action, and its label is set to action. If I were to label it, say, undo, because that's what I want my snack bar to do. Yep, it's been hot reloaded, and now it will show undo, and that is a clickable button with an on press parameter. For any button, the on press parameter is basically what you want your app to do if that button is pressed. Here it is set to nothing. It's just there's just a comment here, so it will not do anything. Okay, that basically covers the snack bar. And then there is a circular progress indicator. The circular progress indicator can be of two types. It can be a determinate one, which will basically be of type, let's say, a progress bar that indicates to you from 0 to 100 how much is completed. And once it reaches 100, the process is complete. Or it can be an indeterminate circular progress indicator, which will basically like be this GIF. It will keep on loading until the action has been completed. You might have seen circular progress indicators in many apps for loading and stuff. In our particular app too, for example, like I can show you the exact usage for this too. Okay, I'll have to hot restart it. Yep. This is something that I set to be displayed when the app is opened for the first time. Here you can see, like, when the image is loaded, you can see there was a circular progress indicator there, and it was a determinate one because when it completed, like the image was displayed. Circular progress indicators are basically used when something takes time and you want to display like the fact that it is loading there. Coming to some more widgets, there is the alert dialog. It basically displays a pop-up dialog box to the user, which includes a title, content, and some actions. You might have seen this in many of the apps, like, for example, this thing. You could get a form where you could display where you could input your login and username. You could have a widget where you just have a button to press OK or something, or where, like, it could be an alert dialog where you could specify a yes or no decision. For example, let's say you're trying to log out. Many apps might ask, do you want to log out? Yes or no. And that decision is basically done through a alert dialog. Then there is rich text. It is basically a widget used for displaying stylized text with the style specifically defined using a tree of span objects. What this is basically, rich text is like I showed you the text widget before. The text widget will not be usable for all of our purposes because it has very limited customization. So I can use rich text. It has a parameter text where I can specify a text span, and within that I will specify the specific style I want for my text, which where I have specified the font size and the color. Also, within the text span, I'll specify a list of children, each of which will be a widget of type text span, and within each, I've specified this. For example, there are two texts present here. Button has been pressed and following number of times. The first is set to a specific text style and the second to another. This specific line of text is what I'm displaying here. Button has been pressed has a font weight of 900, while the other one is of bold. Like, just to display it more clearly, I will change the font weight to 100 so you can see which part of the app changes. And yep, that is it. Like, all rich text does it allows me way more customization to display my text exactly the way you want. Within the style too, I could have specified what color I want my text to be and everything. While below, within just a text widget, all I've specified is just a simple theme, and otherwise I've displayed a number through it, which is 0. Okay, coming to custom widgets. Yep. You need to understand that like, if you don't fancy any of these widgets, it's okay. You have the opportunity to create your own custom widgets in Flutter that look and work exactly the way you want them to. For example, like, if I were to display this using our app, within our app, I wanted a specific like, I wanted text to be displayed in a specific way in my app whenever the user like opens the app for the first time. So what I did was, within this, center, like, what I did was I called this welcome widget, and I will specified this welcome widget here in a different file than win.dart, and I've, like, within the welcome widget, I have set it to return a sized box, and within this, like, what I mean is basically I've specified a different kind of widget. This is not a normal widget where like it is just a size box with no customization, no children, etc. It's not a simple text box with some uh, extra features. It's basically a different widget, and Flutter allows me the property to use it. This is also like this also extends sort of to widgets from packages. It may also be the case, you need to understand that like a widget that you require might be very difficult to create by your own, but it might have been published by someone who might have required it and then published it. Flutter being an open source framework allows us the opportunity. For example, towards the right, this is from a specific package called Animated Text Kit. This package like helps me to display text in this particular animation. If I were to not use this package, it would have been very difficult for me, and most importantly very time consuming for me to display text in this specific format if I wanted to. So I've used the Animated Text Kit library, which is actually developed by one of our alumni, one of MDG's alumni. So like I've used this library, and using this I've displayed text in a specific way. Yep. First off, since this is a different like this is an independent widget, or this is an independent package someone has published on pub.dev. Pub.dev is basically where you will get access to all the Flutter packages. I need to specify it in my pubspec.yml file. As I previously mentioned, this file contains all the things that your app depends on. So I have to add Animated Text Kit here with the proper version. Like you get this version from pub.dev itself, and the like the if I write this, like the moment I write this, I need to run pub.get, which basically gets these dependencies from where they are stored on pub.dev, and then I can use this package as an import. What import basically does is I'm using a file that is not like I'm using Animated Text Kit here, right? Which is a widget that is not defined in this particular file. For example, if I were to comment this part out so that it is ignored, Flutter will give me an error saying that the method Animated Text Kit isn't defined for the type welcome widget. Like it says that welcome widget does not know what Animated Text Kit is. So since it exists in a different file, so what I need to do is like as you can see, it is asking me by itself to import that package. So if I import it, now you can see now Flutter is able to access the Animated Text Kit widget, which is written in some other file, which was downloaded from pub.dev through running pubget. And now Flutter allows me to use this particular widget. And within my welcome widget, you can see all I had to do. First of all, I'll show you what this text does, what this widget does. Yeah, it's showing let's learn Flutter in this particular animation. Yep. So that's what it does. That's what it does. If I were to go on and try to build this on my own, it would have been very time consuming, and I could probably have not been able to do it also. So I used the Animated Text Kit widget, and within it, all I needed to do was specify the text, specify this particular widget, which is Scale Animated Text. It basically defines what type of animation you want, because Animated Text Kit supports a lot of animations. So this is the type of animation, and I've written the text, let's learn Flutter, which is what was displayed. Okay, now that you know about widgets, my friend Aditya will introduce you to the concept of widget trees and further. Over to you, Aditya.
So till now, just a minute, Aditya. We'll recap. After the introduction about Flutter, about the Android development in general, we've also learned about the widgets, which is the very primary thing if you want to start in Flutter, right? So now, as we know widgets, we know how to put widgets on screen. We know how to make a screen appear as it is. Now we'll move towards how we can use widgets to make screen function, to make buttons appear, to change whatever is displayed on the screen, right? Aditya, now you can move forward with your part.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks, Dhruv and Prakhar. Hey gang, my name is Aditya Rajput. Let's talk about trees. So here you can see a generic app and how it's arranged. You know by now that Flutter apps are just a bunch of widgets, right? But we need a way for them to arrange them, or no one will know anything about how and when to show them. For this reason, we have the widget tree. It's a hierarchy of the app's widgets that is determined by the Dart code you write. How is this determined exactly? Well, using the child properties that my friend Dhruv showed you before. Yes, the child properties take the widget directly below the current widget. Like container, inside the container you can have a text. Outside the container you can have like container's child is text. That is the hierarchy. And same for children for row and column, but it takes a list of widgets instead of single widget. Now, this hierarchy is very useful when calculating scope and rebuilds. Say something changes the size of an image in this app shown here. To make sure the screen updates properly, Flutter will have to recalculate the positions and slide sizes of the rest of the elements in the column containing the image. The widget tree helps Flutter decide what part of the screen needs updating. Scoping just means that a parent widget determines the behavior of its children and maybe their children too. For example, if this column has some particular behavior like left alignment, right alignment, only that column's children are affected, not the column of any other column or on this or other screens. Okay, one sec. Yeah, so here's an example. The size of the image on this screen changes from 100 cross 100 to 200 cross 200. To handle this properly, the app has to first find out which widgets are affected. In this case, it uses the widget tree to figure out that it's all the widget in the same column, that is one text above it and one text below it. Then Flutter calculates their final position and redraws only those widgets which have changed. But however good your app looks, nobody will want to use it if it doesn't change anything according to what the user has done. Imagine if you are on the Amazon app and you click add to cart button, but nothing changes. Your item does not get added to the cart. You'll never use such an app. So to handle this, let's talk about state management. But before you can manage state, you need to understand what it is. So what is the state of an app? Basically, it's a bunch of values that tell you everything you need to know about the app screen at that very moment of time. Any app has properties, and the state is the set of properties that can change and which determine the behavior and UI of the app. For example, the value of a counter, the name entered in a form, whether you are logged in or not, dark or light mode, errors, etc. The logic determines the state, which in turn determines the UI. Flutter needs to know which part of your app are changeable and which will remain the same forever. I mean, you can tell Flutter to assume that everything is changeable, but that will just slow your app down and nobody will want to use it. That's why we divide widgets into two categories, stateful and stateless. Stateful widgets have state, which, like I mentioned before, just to recap, is a property of a widget that can change over time. Stateless widgets, as expected, do not have any state, they are constant throughout time. So stateless widget only need a blueprint of what to build, like the size and everything. Stateful widgets need that blueprint, something like that, plus list of variables that can change. For example, a counter or something that you have to display. Whenever you change something, like the value of a variable, you need to call set state, which is a special method to tell Flutter that this thing has changed. Please rebuild the widget's Flutter. On the right, you can see an example of this. The orange button changes on clicking it because the counter value changes. This is a stateful widget. On the other hand, the toggle button below that is unchanging throughout the process. So it's a stateless widget. Now, how the hell does this actually happen? First things first, widgets are blueprints that don't change by themselves. So stateful widgets gets a so-called state class which builds and updates. You can think of it like this. A widget holds a spot in the widget tree for consistency. It also holds the fixed properties. The state class builds and updates the widget with the changeable properties. Now let me show you a representation of this code. First things first, for both types of widget, the build method contains the blueprint. Okay. Now a stateless widget consists of just one class. This class contains build method and some constant that define the customization properties of the widget, like color and everything, which does not change because it is a stateless widget. And a stateful widget, on the other hand, consists of two classes. The first class, my stateful widget, contains the constant properties. If you place this widget into a widget tree and build the app, here's how it works. Flutter sees this widget. It will automatically ask the state class, hey, this my state full widget class is an idiot. He does not know what he wants me to build. So can you like tell me what I have to build? Thankfully, the state class knows what it wants to look like because it contains the build method, which is the blueprint. So it says, okay, Flutter, at this point of time only, at this condition of app only, I want you to build this thing. And it can change over time, so be careful. Now, suppose I want to change those changeable variables, because if they are changeable, we have to change them at some point. Let's say I want the text to change from not pressed to pressed when I tap a button. Well, I'll change the value inside a function and give the function to the button's onPress property. Like when you press the button, the onPress parameter will be called, like to update it. But as I explained before, I also need to call the setState function so that Flutter knows to call the build method again and display the new text. By the way, my stateless widget and my stateful widgets are both names I have chosen to explain this to you. You can name your widgets anything like awesome red text widget or something else. Here's a GIF demonstrating what I said. Basically, you have to sign in and then add items to your cart. Everything this app contains a lot of stateful and stateless widgets. More importantly, as the hierarchy on the right shows, screens need to communicate with each other. If you're logged in, only then you can show the cart. And when you add something to the cart, the other screen will update because it needs to show the what is in your cart, right? It will show update here too and there too. So your screens need to communicate with each other. This communication can be very difficult thing if you don't plan it properly. In fact, this is a very important part and is an important part of the app development itself, and it will be the topic of our next workshop. Before we move forward with the rest of the workshop, I'm pleased to announce that MDG is gonna have something really exciting in coming days. So be sure to stay tuned. Now let's recap what we have learned today, the whole workshop. We have talked about the basics of mobile development and the basics of Flutter. Then we introduced widgets and gave you some examples of commonly used widgets. Next, we talked about packages, the widget tree, and state management. State management is still remaining, but that is a big topic and that will be covered in the next workshop. Now, this itself is very much to cover, but you'll need all of this for our next workshop and the events after that. Now let's play a game. These screenshots are made of some of the widgets my friend Dhruv explained to you. Identify the widget's name and send it to us via the chat box with the number you're guessing. Like 1 is ABC. You have 30 seconds, so type fast.
Yeah, so we are looking at the comments. You can just drop your answers, keep dropping your answers.
Dhruv, will wait a bit longer because of the delay between the two things. Like
Yeah,
between the
yeah,
stream.
like no,
Yeah,
no.
sure. Like,
I guess people will recognize at least one or two. There are
Okay.
lots. Yeah. So the first is app bar. We've got one answer. The sixth is bottom navigation bar. There's another answer that is container. So someone is saying the second is container. Okay. What about the three, the fourth, the fifth? Someone is saying the sixth is bottom navigation bar again. The third is navigation bar. I doubt that. No problem. Okay, so there are lots and lots of answers now. Okay, Dhruv, you should move forward with your answers now.
yeah, sure.
So these are the answers. So the first was the EBA. For the people who answered correctly, congratulations. The second is the grid view. Okay. The third is the container. The fourth is an image. As you can see, it displays an image, right? The fifth is the column because the elements are arranged vertically. You can see, right? The sixth is, and the last one is the bottom navigation bar. So I guess Aditya is having some connectivity issue. Now I'll carry forward with the slides. Can you, Dhruv, can you do the next button? So yeah, Guys, so this was much about the workshop today. There are the links which we want to share with you after the workshop. And alongside this, we have some interesting tasks for you to try so that you can actually practice hands-on whatever we had discussed in the workshop. See, practicing in the workshop, listening in the workshop and practicing on your own are two very separate things, right? So we told you about many things in this workshop, like widgets, the stateful widget, the stateless widget, so many widgets like the container, the scaffold, the rows, the columns, and everything. But until and unless you actually go and do them with your own hands, you won't learn them, right? And if we do next workshop and you haven't done them with your own hands, you won't be able to understand much of it, right? Today also you might have not understand 100% of the workshop, right? Because when you'll go home, when you'll just keep your computer in front of you and actually code things, right? We'll give you every resource you want, right? If you're not if you're facing any issue, you are not getting any resources, just come and ping us on our open source channel on our Instagram. We'll answer you, we'll send you resources. But the most important thing is to actually do the hands-on, right? So there are three tasks which Aditya will tell you about, which you can try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I?
Aditya.
Yeah. We strongly suggest that you start and finish the first app because it goes through with installation and this for both editors. It will guide you to Android Studio and VS Code, and it will install Android SDK, AVD, and Flutter for you. So it's very important. Plus, you'll get how to build a first Flutter app, right? Guided. There's a video too, I guess. You can follow it along. And the other two are this optional, but they can be also helpful. So if you breeze through the first one, you can try the others. They are not necessary, but you will have to go through them at some point. So better earlier than later. Okay. The other resources will also be posted in the chat box and will be updated in the description. So save the link of this video.
Other than that, there are a few questions. Dhruv, can you go back to the slide? Yeah. So someone is saying, how can you practice without knowing Dart? So we talked about Dart in this lecture, and we are saying when you do go and actually code in Flutter, you'll understand Dart through the process, right? You don't have to learn everything from scratch now. It is not like you will first learn Dart, then you'll go forward with the Flutter, right? Just start some very basic app and you will just get familiar with the syntax of Dart in the flow, right? So if you've done some programming language, say C++ or even Java, then also you'll see Dart is very similar to them, right? It is not very different from them. There are many concepts like total null safety and everything, which are which are different apart and are not there or are different in Java or C++. But as I said, if you start coding in Flutter, you will just learn that through the flow, right? So I'll just pick one or two questions. Okay, so someone is saying what to practice after the workshop. As Aditya said, you'll have to just go to the Flutter website, which for the links we'll be giving you, and there are code labs there, and which you can actually practice and go forward and experiment yourself with the different widgets. The main focus of today's lecture is on the widgets because mobile development is not just about making interfaces, right? So for a software there are many components, as Anand also talked about. There's some backend, there's some front end, but today our focus was on the front end part in the interface part, right? So we were just helping you to so that you can make interfaces, right, with the help of widgets. So keep your the tasks are also such that you will be mostly constrained towards the interface part, towards the widgets part. We won't ask you to use other technologies, say Firebase services or any sort of backend. For now, you can just constrain yourself towards the interface part, towards the widgets part. Learn thoroughly what stateless are, what stateful are. This is the focus of this lecture. On 30th of January, on next Sunday, we'll be talking about Firebase, which is backend as a service. From there, you can start your backend journey also, because for a software, there are multiple things, as we earlier also talked about. Today, we talk about the front end. Next time, we'll be talking about the front end and the back end both. We'll be combining them in the next lecture on 30th, and in that step you can actually go beyond the interface part and interact with the backend also. Okay.
So yeah, the next workshop will show you an MDG level app, like professional level app, and you'll be able to make it on your own. We'll share the code, but you can follow the steps and you can make your own app like that, like really a cool app, right? So do practice this. If you like first two tasks, like they are very good for you. First one is compulsory. Like if you don't do that, you won't be able to participate in the next workshop, because it's like if you don't know the basics, how can you go forward? But the second one is additional, and third one is more sophisticated. So try to do the first and second ones, but at least the first one, right?
Yeah. So people are saying how to start from scratch. See, everyone present here has started from scratch at some point of time, right? So today it is your time. You can start from scratch. If you face any issue, just ping us. We'll answer you. We'll help you out. MDG open source channel is for that purpose only. Somebody can share that link in the chat box, please. Our open source channel link, right? You can just yeah, so in the context us tab you can see there are links for contacting us, right? I'll just see if there are any other questions.
Yeah,
Sir,
also
is
one
there
more
a
thing.
Discord
The
server?
first task, Prakhar, one sec. The
Mm-hmm.
first task is for absolute beginners also. Like you don't need to know anything for the first task. It will guide you through every step. So you don't need any prerequisites for the first task. The others you can do after you done the first, but the first task is like anyone can start it, right? We also learn from scratch at some point, right? This is a new technology. So it's not that hard, guys. You can try it. We'll share the links, I guess.
Yeah, you can just share the contact us links there. If anybody is facing any issue, we'll even arrange a meet for you specifically to sort out your doubts and all. There's no problem in it, right? And you can also contact the second year seniors of MDG if you know them, right? If you don't know them, you can just ask some second years who are the people who are the second years who are in MDG, right? Or just ping us from the through the open source channel, DM us anything, right?
Yeah, and one
We'll
more
be happy to help
clarification.
you.
MDG conducts its business over Slack, which is a more professional version of Discord, so we can keep track of everything. So you should join Slack, and the steps you can Google the steps how to join Slack. What is the like? There will be like it's the most professional form of social media you'll encounter, right? So you should be used to it at this point and after this. So join Slack, join our channel, and yeah, this bit.ly link is the open source channel.
So I've also sent that link in the chat box. Dhruv, now you can move to the next slide. I guess we've discussed much of it on this
Yeah.
slide. Yeah, Aditya.
So I am happy to tell you about these announcements. Next Sunday, obviously, we'll have the next workshop. That will be more in-depth state management and Firebase. Also, we'll be organizing a season of code soon. It will be a 2-month long competition where you'll use all the skills you've learned through these workshops and many more to build your own apps according to our guidelines, like professional level apps. So remember to watch all our workshops and revise them if you want, and be ready for a lot of fun. SOC is the most fun thing you'll ever experience, right? Like there will be more fun things, but for now, this is the greatest thing ever. But the part I'm excited most about is the awesome surprise that MD is gonna announce in just a few days. So make sure to follow our Facebook, Insta, and everything to stay up to date. And that concludes this workshop. Thanks for tuning in. We have taken a lot of questions, and we'll take more questions.
Yeah,
Dhruv, can you move to the next slide?
yeah.
We'll
So
keep this
now,
slide on.
now we are like open to any questions from anything. Like you can just pick any random question and ask us.
Yeah,
Okay. So Aditya, can you answer
yeah,
what are the prerequisites for the next workshop?
yeah. See,
Not
you.
first of all, I'll just tell you these are not the very these are not very hard prerequisites. If you're not able to do something, it's okay. Just come to the workshop, attend it. It would be recorded, rewatch it, and you will be good to go.
Yeah, so prerequisites are these tasks like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 are like if you do one, you will be ready for the next workshop. if you do 2, you may be ahead, like you may already know some of the stuff, because state management, like it's advanced topic, but these are also arranged according to difficulty, right? 1 is easy, everyone has to do it. 2 is a bit difficult, like medium difficult, and 3 is very good for like first year right to do right now. Okay, so try to do this and be ready for the next workshop. If you want to read up on something, search Firebase and read up what it is. But if you don't want to, that's okay, we'll do everything. Okay. And see, the next workshop is going to focus on state management and Firebase, but it is also going to focus on what MDG does, like our standards, our best practices, what we do in our actual apps, like R drive, code file, and everything. So there you learn things that are not given outside in outside resources, right? So it is important, and we would like you to attend that and pay attention, right? So yeah, any other questions? SOC. SOC is not
Okay,
yet
I'll tell you
scheduled.
about SOC.
Hmm.
See, SOC is first of all, you must know what is SOC. SOC is Season of Code, which is organized by MDG. It is about a 1 month and a half long event where you put your proposals for different proposals consist of ideas what you want to make or gonna make, or what innovation you wanna do through mobile apps or through mobile softwares or any other software. Like there's no specific software field you must follow. You can just do anything. You can pick any idea. You can pick any problem statement, right? And make a proposal on it, and you have to submit that proposal, and that will be happening in some around mid February, right? Mid February, about a month after. Other than that, after that, there will be different phases of SOC, such as coding phases, planning phases, and the final presentation phases, right? So there will be a proper timeline that will be shared with you through our social media. Keep following us there, and you will know everything about SOC in the coming time.
So yeah, email format. You can use your personal emails or these emails, because a lot of us have used, like I have used a personal email. I guess Anand has used IITR email. Both are valid. There's no problem in that. If you're facing any problem, the other link is a personal chat. You can type, like send your queries there, or on our Facebook. Yeah, you can message us on Facebook too. Mhm.
So guys, you can keep posting questions, and Aditya, what you can do is just scroll back and see if there are any other questions which we left unanswered, right?
Yeah.
Unanswered.
Prakhar, will we be sharing the PPT or the
Yeah, yeah,
recording? Like the
we'll
recording is
be.
already there.
Yeah, recording is already there. This recording will stay on YouTube, and we'll see if we can share the slides too with you,
Mhm.
so that you can just see whatever has been taught in
Mhm.
the.
Hmm. So, just to reiterate, this question has already been answered, but I'm answering it again. You will get projects. You can search up one for yourself, or you'll make some projects during SOC or during the second workshop too. We have we'll plan if we have more ideas to give you, but there are a billion resources of Flutter which you can explore in your own time. For starters, if you like, if there are a lot of people who want that, we can share it on a Slack, I guess, right, Prakhar? Like some recommended resources, or that
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is
we can share some recommended resources of Flutter on our Slack workspace. We'll be doing it definitely. So,
uh,
if you're not able to join it, you can just go to our FB page, and there's a link, or you can just go to our MDG link tree. It is given in the description of our Instagram. I'll just post it here also. From that link tree, you can just choose the link to join the Slack channel. I'll see if it has expired, and if it has expired, I'll just update that link later. Till then, you can just wait. Other than that, I'll just tell you one more interesting thing of SOC. So the premier projects in SOC, the projects which are like at par at par, like which are nice projects, we also release those projects to our FB pages, and we also put those apps, if there are apps, on the Play Store, and right. So that is a very unique thing of SOC. We are releasing those projects from MDG, and you will definitely get recognition for that projects. You will get a proper IITR certificate for those projects if those projects are actually very good.
Okay.
And definitely, other than that, you'll be seeing your app on Play Store also.
Yeah, a question in the chat box, Manan Garg. See, you don't have to mug up the names of the widgets. Like, you don't have to keep a sheet of those on you. But by the time you are experienced in Flutter, right, you will mug up those names automatically, because that widgets are everything in Flutter, as we have said multiple times in this workshop. So, like, you keep using them and you'll know them, right? And even if you don't, your editors, unless you're using like pen and paper, your editor will tell you which widgets you have to use, right?
Ha, ha,
So
ha.
if
That is the power of editor. VS Code or Android Studio both will suggest you the different properties of a widget, right? Or what widgets you can use. So because these all things are encompassed in the Dart SDK, which you will be, which you will be using to code in Flutter,
yeah,
Dart and Flutter SDK. So they are intelligent enough to recommend you what are the problems with the widgets, or what different fields are there in a specific widget, and you can just alter them and use them.
Dhruv,
For
can
now,
you
just
control?
focus. Yeah, for now, just focus on how to place widgets, how to make widgets look like look awesome, right? Just practice this only. Just practice interface designing, and that's all. In the next lecture, we'll be interacting with the backend part also. We'll use Firebase services, and after that workshop, you can also use Firebase services. And going one step
Yeah.
ahead, you can also develop your own backend and make APIs and sort of things, and connect them to your app. The
Dhruv,
APIs
can
and
you
sort of things we had not
Prakhar?
covered in this lecture, because we don't want to make it complicated. We just want to focus in this lecture on the front end part and not on the back end part. From next lecture, you will be listening about APIs and all.
Uh, Dhruv, can you control click on a column and show the documentation?
Okay, sure.
And also the pub dev site
Just
for any package, animated
Yeah.
text kit maybe.
No, Eric, in the editor I'm talking about, right? Control click on a column and show the documentation comment.
so just a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
SOC will be only for freshers, I right? Guess, Prakhar?
Yeah.
Yes, our primary focus will be on the first year.
Yeah.
So
And we'll
like
see if we can extend the eligibility to the second year also, if they're very interested.
Hmm.
yeah, like every widget, whatever you use, like animated text kit I used, if I control click on it, I'll get whatever, like how that widget is built, the entire code for it. So I can see what is included in the widget, what all properties it has, what will I be able to change, etc. Including a few comments about what this property does, what this property does. That is for every widget, even for like widgets within Material Dart, like size box. You can see like there are comments with respect to what everything does. You can see the list of properties for every widget here, etc. But like currently, you don't have to go in depth with this. You'll be using widgets. For example, let's say if I've used a size box, and if I just like for Android Studio, it is Control plus space bar. If I use this, I'll get the hints for what properties I can use further in my size box. I like demonstrated this for previous widgets too, right? For example, like if in text style I want to add more properties, all I have to do is Control plus space bar, and it will give me all the properties, including this. Like if height is there, what is like what value I have to provide for height, for what font weight, what I have to provide, etc. And even if you hover over these things, for example, colors, if I hover and I don't know what colors is, you will get the basic information about it, like colors and color swatch constants, which represent material design. Like if I don't know what size box is, I'll get a basic idea by hovering over it that it creates a fixed size box. The width and height parameters can be null, etc. Right? You can do this for every single thing. That yeah.
Yeah, so the beauty of Flutter is that everything is written down. So, right, if you don't know anything, if you don't attend any workshop, watch any videos, you can just download Flutter and read through everything. Like as a storybook, you can read through all of it and you can understand what everything is, right? There are
Okay,
lots
so
of courses
there's one
online, offline,
person.
everything.
There's someone who's asking about if he'll be able to work with databases after this workshop. See, databases is a very, very, very broad concept, right? So first we'll start with the very first step. We'll be interacting with the Firebase services. One of which services Firestore, the other services are real-time database. First, we'll interact with them and try to store and retrieve data from them. That will be the very first step towards working with database. Then we'll be working with local databases in a mobile app. Say we'll try to access database through shared preferences, saving data and retrieving data in key value pairs. Then we'll go one step forward and we'll be actually storing the data in a database in the mobile app itself. Then we can also store in files and files or some folders inside the internal storage of the app, right? So these are step by step things, and we'll go into them also. So do attend the next workshop also if you just don't want to stop at interface designing and go step forward, which is actually making some product out of it, right? If you want to make some product, it is not just interface designing, right? It is lots and lots of backend stuff, lots and lots of data, APIs and everything, right? So do attend the next workshop. We're gonna stop in 5 minutes. So if you have any other question, just drop it now. We're gonna end this session in 5 minutes.
Yeah, one question I found. Usman Khatri, this question is correct. Row columns are like linear layouts, horizontal, vertical. In fact, there are other in-depth widgets that do this, like grid layout and everything. So there are like, because it was all built by Google, right? So Android, the idea behind Android was the same for all teams. The people already, Dart people knew that Android developers were going to switch over to Flutter. So they built very equivalent things. So if you know Android dev, you can obviously use Flutter very easily.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just see if there are more questions, and we'll just close this session. Can Android game dev be done after this? Okay, so this is the very first step, right? We just learned how to design interfaces. We'll then interact with APIs and all sort of things in the next lecture. After that, we can have a workshop on game dev also, right? So game dev is a different field, sort of a different field, you can say, where you actually can use game engines to develop apps for different platforms, right? So if you're saying you're developing apps on games on Android, it would be difficult without using some game engine, right? So that is a different thing. Don't mix them with this. This is interface designing level 1 of learning mobile development. There is lots and lots and lots of other things that are there, but you'll learn them slowly.
Yeah, till then, like the things we mentioned, the first of like, I guess the first links that we posted is of the documentation. You can go on with this, like read all parts of it. There are videos for most of the widgets and stuff, and for the Dart packages we mentioned. For example, if I want to search for a specific package like animated text kit, uh, I'll get the name of the package, and for every package, there is like a lot of documentation within it. Uh, so you can get to know how do you want how you add the dependency for the package, how you'd install it, how you'd import it in your files, and exactly how to use it for the different ways in which it can be used. Like these are the list of animations for which you can use. Yeah.
Thank you, Dhruv, and thank you everybody who's attended this workshop and been with us throughout the workshop, especially the ones who had been throughout the workshop with us. We want to hear hi from you on our open source channel or on our public chat. Definitely drop a hi there to make your presence
Felt, yeah.
felt. है ना? And we'll again thank you for attending this workshop. If you have any other questions, just drop those questions on the open source channel or on the
We'll fix
public
the
chat.
Slack problem, the Slack link email problem, and we'll provide resources to do it.
Yeah,
Just
and
stay
we'll
tuned on
also
this.
provide open source channel link with the resources from our Facebook, from our Instagram. So keep following there. Just check out for the link tree of MDG. A link tree consists of all the links that are related to MDG, and you'll find everything there, right? And this video will stay here. You can just rewatch it again if you want. And thank you everybody again for attending this workshop. You can also thank the audience.
Yeah,
And we'll
thanks
just
Thank you,
everyone.
close.
Peter.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. So we will just close it now. And thank you again for attending. Right. Bye bye.
Bye.